There's this thing often said, and it's actually very wise: the only constant is change. And it's definitely true for preparedness and survival. You need to adapt to those changes. That's key. That's actually the ability to adapt, what has allowed us to exist and survive as a species for millions of years, right? Folks, as always, welcome to a Modern Survivalist channel. I wasn't expecting this. I kind of figured it was something like this, but wasn't expecting this much one-sided opinion on such a controversial topic, and let alone in Reddit of all places. Folks, if you want to learn more about preparedness and survival, I always recommend my books, especially these two, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills. I honestly believe it's the best way to acquire a lot of critical knowledge, but for this video specifically, I want to recommend you my least popular book. It's a book that I always knew would not be as popular because it's one of the most difficult ones. It's this one right here, Bugging Out and Relocating. Bugging Out and Relocating is about just doing this. And ironically enough, it's of all the three, it's the one that you probably should, take the most seriously and maybe even apply, especially these days, because that's the magic bullet, the silver bullet for real hardcore survival stuff. And it's not me. I talked about this years ago with Selco. I've talked about with a number of people that have gone through complicated times in different countries, different situations. As I just mentioned, Selco in war in his country, people caught in Venezuela as a country went to hell. But the way in which you deal with some of the worst possible survival situations is not being there anymore. Are Americans leaving the United States? How happy are they? Well, you'll be surprised. Let's go into this thing. Americans who moved abroad permanently, was it worth it? Would you recommend it? And how's your life? I'll leave the link for this thing below, but I want to read along with you because I have some insight I'd like to share with you. Here, the first one. U.S. to Germany in 2017. And this is like 8 months old, so it's within this year, right? U.S. to Germany 2017, never going back. Our work-life balance is incredible. We travel, have time for our kid, public health care, free daycare, free college for our son. There's reliable public transportation. We can bike everywhere in the city. COL is lower, cholesterol is lower. So he's basically enjoying life more. There's very little violent crime, and we live 2 kilometers away. He's already using kilometers away from a lake. And you can be like on the freaking lake itself. There's lots of those midpoints. So Germany, but Germany sucks. Immigration is terrible. Germans are nasty people. Okay, yeah, you do have illegal immigration in the United States as well. It is actually far more likely to be the victim of violent crime in the United States because of illegal immigration or whatever, or local violence. So even though the argument is true that all over Europe, and especially in Germany, there is a problem with immigration, it is nowhere near as bad as a problem that you have in the United States with illegal immigration or violence in general. Now, let me make myself perfectly clear. I do not like illegal immigration anywhere. Not only that, I do believe that even legal immigration needs to be a lot more controlled, especially these days. And unlike many people talking about this, I've been an immigrant, legal, of course, in a number of countries over the years. I moved around a lot, even when I was a kid. So that's my perspective on this. His native language is German and English. I'm conversationally fluent in German, native English, and we'll start a third language in a couple years. So basically, this guy is happy. Oh, it's just one guy. Okay. Just out of curiosity, Berlin wedding or whatever. Wow, good guess. So he guessed the area. Haha, awesome. Same. I was piecing it all together. Anyway, glad to have people like you. Thank you. If it's not too intrusive, what were your requirements? So he's basically being asked. So that the person that is happily living in Germany has his replies, right? Let's move to someone else. Foreign exchange kid from the 80s. I envy you. I was in Germany when Ronald Reagan was shot and learned German. Okay. U.S. to Portugal. So let's go with another one. U.S. to Portugal. Definitely worth it and highly recommended. Pros: relaxed atmosphere, friendly people, cost of living, work-life balance, healthcare. You notice the similarities, right? Portugal is actually one of my most recommended destinations for anyone looking for, I just want to live in peace, beautiful climate, very convenient location, low cost of living, super safe, and basically, that sort of thing. Cons: the bureaucracy is tedious and things happen easier if you're well connected. Absolutely love life. Love my life. Yes. Could not agree with that more. It's not just the bureaucracy, which is very much real, both in Portugal and in Spain, but also the language barrier. It's gonna be slower, and you know what? One of the things that sometimes people don't realize is that the work-life balance, the people not even worrying, oh, okay, it will be done when it's done. That's what gives you that lifestyle that you appreciate so much. Everyone seems to be chill. Everyone seems to be taking things easy because they do. So they're also going to take easy when you go, hey, you know what? I'm an American and I want right now. Okay, lady, sir, chill. It's going to get done when it's get done. And it eventually will get done. But it also requires an adjustment of your own. You cannot expect fast forward things getting done when it's convenient for you. And then, oh, yes, I want to relax. No, people are not sleeping siestas all over the place. That's just a fantasy. Whenever I see that, I know it's a fake article. People are busy, but they're going to be busy with their own shit, with their own life. So let's say a public office in a small town that closes at 2 p.m. That guy is not sleeping. That guy is doing sports, going out with the family, picking the kids from school, doing whatever, right? The same whatever you want to do yourself, he's doing too. So you need to have a little bit of adjustment. This is very important for people considering such a move. Looking into Portugal and Slovenia, from Boston. That's a very different scenario. It is completely different. Very cold, very close people as well. You're looking at Eastern Europe, very different climate, for crying out loud. Portugal is like perfect weather. We're looking into Portugal. Yes, that's fairly typical. I was lucky in my timing, says Care 2020, and also because I was located in Massachusetts, where a very small consulate is available. So yeah, he was lucky. US to Japan. Now, Japan would not be my cup of tea. It is a very different culture. It is an island, which, one of the things I've learned is that islands are complicated. Connections, moving around, and hell, it is Japan. It is a very different culture. So, US to Japan. Owning a car here is expensive as hell. Owning a house in US is much cheaper than owning a house is much cheaper than in US. Healthcare is cheaper, but finding decent doctors is a pain in the ass. Overall, I enjoy it here. Japan would not be the kind of place where I would expect a lot of people to be, oh yeah, I'm super happy with this. There's going to be people happy with it because they love the culture. They love the anime, they love the manga, whatever it's the Japanese cartoon things. I don't know what, all of that stuff. But I know there's people that are very fanatic of the culture, of the cartoons, the video games, all connected to Japan. But goddamn, it's a very different place. Very, very different. Nothing like US to Europe. I'm also in Japan 15 years now. Hopefully this sums up how I feel about my choice. Every time someone asks me, I say that I only miss two things: people and Mexican food. For me, everything else is better. The guy is happy in Japan. If you live in Tokyo, whatever. Northern Japan since 2018. Love it here. So, also an American who moved here in Japan. Okay, another one. We moved to Stockholm, Sweden in 2017. I do it again in a heartbeat. The quality of life is incredible. So nice to not be depending on automobile. So you can, most people in Sweden do own cars. It's fairly cheap to own one. It is not what many Americans think. Oh, no one owning a car in Europe is a luxury. No, it's actually the guy that does your plumbing owns an Audi or a BMW. And it may be in the United States as well. But in Europe, it's going to be pretty much anyone that wants it gets it, okay? Stockholm is an incredible, beautiful city, built on a bunch of islands, connected. There's water, parks, So the only thing I would say here is weather and a little bit of the more closed, more private culture. Those would be the two things. I heard Nordic countries are notoriously difficult to make friends. What I just said, I hadn't even read this before. Everyone just sticks to their friends they meet in school growing up. They will tend to stick to themselves. If you're not very outgoing and open, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time. I like, not being, I'm not the friendliest human being ever, so it's not something that would be bothering me that much. There must be the truth is because I heard so often, including from native Swedes, they will say themselves, we're kind of like very private people, and so on. My wife and I had a ritual where we walk around an island. All right, we moved from New York City to Switzerland. Everything about life here is better. Schooling, safety, work, life balance, especially salaries. Of course, you are in freaking Switzerland. Now, it's not impossible. It can be done. You better get yourself a proper job, and any job in Switzerland will pay well enough. You will not see anyone working in Switzerland. Oh, I need 2 jobs and I still live in my car. That is not a thing anywhere in Europe, which is one of the big reasons why I'm even doing this video. One of the big reasons why you probably should consider doing this. Things have changed, guys. The world is not the same. The United States is not the same it was 5, 10, yet alone, 20 years ago? There's no comparison. Moved from US to Europe in 2011 when I was 23. I've been living between Spain, Netherlands, and Belgium, so he had quite a bit of experience. My quality of life is comparably better. I haven't owned a car since I've been here. That's his call. He could have easily owned a car, but people are different. Some people like sticking to the cities. If you live in a city, you don't even need one, but personally, I think you should at least own a couple cars, but you do you. Think of it this way. Think of it as the New Yorker, the guy that lives in New York City and says, no, I don't own a car. Okay, that's on you, man. It's not as if you cannot own a car in the United States. That would be the similar comparison. Like, oh, people in the United States don't own cars. What are you talking about? Are you stupid? No, my friend lives in New York and he doesn't own a car. And my other friend also in New York. No, it's people in New York that some of them don't own cars. There's a bunch of people that are multimillionaires in New York and own a bunch of cars. But it's kind of this thing that happens in cities that are walkable, all right? And that's the case for pretty much every city in Europe. So most neighborhoods are walkable and mixed. Again, I hadn't even read this before. And with cafes, restaurants, life is a better pace. Things are less maniac. People chat over a beer or a glass of wine for hours in different languages. I never stop learning. Even a trip to the supermarket can be new bits of vocab, culture. I'm healthier here. That is definitely going to be the case. It's because of the air. It's because of the water standards. It's because of the food standards. It's because of the healthcare. So, no quick. And these are big things, guys. We're talking about health. We're talking about quality of life. Oh, but I enjoy my guns. I enjoy my guns too. Can I buy them as easily in Europe as I can buy them in the United States? Kind of depends on what gun you're looking at, but prices are not going to be all that different. You may have to do a little bit more paperwork depending on the country in which you are. There's countries that are better for gun. Hell, if you live in Switzerland, man, what can I tell you? You can own anything you want, and you're going to be surrounded by people that are responsible gun owners and very much patriotic people. So Switzerland, big, bonus there for gun folks. I'm healthier here. I am in no existential fear of bad diagnosis or bankruptcy. Guns aren't the norm. It's safe to walk home at night in big metropolitan cities. This guy thinks that he's safer because there's less guns in Europe, which, statistically speaking, yes. Depends on the country. Some countries have a lot more guns than others across Europe, but he's making this wrong, probably a liberal mindset of, and probably definitely not a gun kind of guy, but he makes this equivalent, it's safe here, and guns are a little bit more regulated, so because of that. No, it's not because of that. It's because it's safer in general, right? There's less violence in general, less crime in general. Right? And Switzerland, which is one of the most armed countries in all of Europe, has some of the lower crime in all of Europe. Not the lowest. That's going to be maybe Portugal. Portugal is one of the safest places in the world. And gun ownership is perfectly possible in Portugal. You have to get your gun permit, whatever, maybe join a club. But hell, if you're not even bothered to do that, you probably shouldn't, call yourself much of a shooter if you don't practice with certain frequency. There are things about the US I love. I feel very American in some aspects. That is perfectly healthy, and that would be the right thing to feel, which comes into sharper relief abroad. And Europe has litany of its own problems, but I would never move back. This is the part you really want to take in. I've lived in Spain, between Spain and Netherlands, France, got it. Okay. Definitely agree that part of being American come into very sharp relief. Living abroad, okay. I can't say for Austria, as an American who moved, that they have a desired worker visa. Okay, so he's explaining I personally just applied. So yes, please, someone answer question most. This is Reddit. This is Reddit. Where is the guy that jumps in and says, this is all crap? I'm looking for the guy. I haven't found him in. There's lots of pluses. There you go. Lots of pluses and minuses, all right? So let's go. We already talked the pluses, what we just said. The cheese, the food is great all over. The cons, everything is more expensive, and I make less money doing more work. Isolation, flights away. Where is he talking about? This guy is not in... All right, no, this guy is not... He's in New Zealand, all right? He's in New Zealand. So, the comprehensive culture, rule of law, affordable healthcare. But because he's in New Zealand, that islands, remember what I just said? Islands. If you move to Mexico, no, don't go to fucking Mexico. US, better than Australia in 2016. I initially came here to study, but ended up meeting an Australian, and now I'm a US citizen. I'm also a teacher. The only con in my life is full date, so he's far away. Yeah. Moved to Canada. I absolutely... this guy moved to Canada. Moved from US to Canada 10 years ago. I absolutely cannot understate this in any way, but things have been so much better for me here. So, guys, super happy in Canada for the reasons you probably imagine. Okay. And I moved to Scotland in 100... Scotland has some tough weather, man. But the guy's still happy. Dude, US to Spain 2021. Never say never, but hard to imagine a scenario where I return. Spain wins on the following. All right, and US wins on the following. Economic opportunity. You can earn a living here, but typical jobs pay significantly less than the US. And again, it's going to depend on his own specific situation, his own economy, and how much money he makes. All right, Spain, her people buying scooters cheaply, get around. Yeah, if you want to drive around a shitty little, you can do that. Guys, this is basically what it looks like. Move to I'll end up with this one. Move to Denmark 2017, never going back. US society is sick, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. I'll leave the link below. This goes on forever, but you know what? I don't see anyone jumping in and saying something reasonable in terms of no. Big mistake. People that leave the United States, especially now, and move to Europe, you will have a hard time finding someone that regrets it. In fact, the only video I did about that was in CNN of a lady that moved to Spain, and she was complaining about supermarkets not being open 24/7, so she's a fucking moron. That's what happens with that woman. Yeah, lady, if you want supermarkets open 24/7, you definitely should go back home. Guys, see you next time. Take care.